Welcome in Extra Reverb podcast. I've got Kaitlyn Young with me, and she is brilliant. Her company is just helping people be truly authentic. I'm going to let her tell you about it, but we are so excited to have you, Kaitlyn. Thank you for being on.
Thank you so much. I am so stoked to be here and excited to get into the podcast with you.
So, we talked a little bit before we started here. I know a little bit about you and what you're doing. Can you tell us about yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? Lay it all out there for me.
Yeah. So I'm Kaitlyn Young. I'm the owner of Social Media Doctor. I am 27 years old, so I'm kind of on the younger side of the business owner spectrum. And I started Social Media Doctor, like you kind of said, to be more authentic on social media. There's just so many agencies, especially with AI, which is a great tool, not knocking it completely,
Sure.
but there's so many out there that rely completely on it. And so what happens is the authenticity, the person, the voice of the brand gets lost. And so that is what my focus is. I've kind of done every single job known to man in my history till get here. I've, been mentally institutionalized when I tried to take my life. I've
Oh,
had
wow.
quite the road to get here, but it's definitely been a rewarding experience and really exciting.
Okay. So you're a native of Florida then, or where are you from?
No, I'm from Michigan. I'm up in the mitten. I can use my hand as my map.
Okay.
It's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've lived here my whole life. Not sure if we'll stay in Michigan, but we'll find out wherever life takes us.
Okay. I'm not sure where I got Florida from, but Michigan. Okay. Cold place. Not for me. Uh, so I want to kind of get a little bit deeper here if you're willing to. You
Yeah.
said that, that you got institutionalized and we're thinking about ending your life. I don't know how deep you want to go into that, but what point in your life got you there? I mean, did a business fail? Was life, how old
Yeah.
were you? What was going on in your life?
So, straight out of high school, to kind of bring it back because it's kind of started earlier, I have always, I always dealt with a self-worth issue. Always associated my self-worth to what my family thought, to what other people thought, and I did not see the value in me. So for the longest time, I lived for other people. I lived my life to please them, to make them happy. And what that ended up doing is I ended up creating this story inside my head that I wasn't worthy. I wasn't worthy of anything. And so from the time I was 16 to the time I was 23, I had planned on ending my life at the age of 23. I had meticulously planned like how I would set up everybody else to be okay while I was gone, because I just didn't see the point in sticking around. I was doing Walmart factory work, nothing to write home about during that time, because again, I was not seeing the value I could bring to this world.
Sure.
And so, because I had told myself the story that by this age I would be gone, when I hit that age, it was time in my head. It was time to end it. And so I had wrote goodbye letters. I had um, visited people for the last time without them knowing and created a plan. And it, thank God for my husband. We've been married for 7 years and he noticed the signs and he caught me the day I was going to do it. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here. And so I spent the next 6 weeks in and out of a mental institute, and then 6 weeks inside, basically battling with myself of why am I still here? And some people believe in God or not, but for me, it was definitely a God moment where
Sure.
I had this connection of uh, basically an aha moment that if I was not supposed to be here, I wouldn't be. And if I was not supposed to bring life to this world, if I was not supposed to have a purpose, then God would have removed me anyway. Basically
100%.
he wouldn't have put me here. And so when I had that that realization, a fire ignited in me. And so I started going after different, more entrepreneur jobs because I was very good in management, very good on socials, very good in those things, but like I had no control. So I went to be an insurance agent, joined a couple masterminds, really started to work on my mindset and learning how to um, rewrite the stories that I had been telling myself. And that led me to working with some mindset coaches. And eventually, I had a moment at an event that basically it was like writing in the sand of this is where I'm supposed to head. And it was the realization because I had seen so many people struggling on socials and I knew how to grow a social media following that um, their brand was getting lost, especially with AI coming out, all that. And people just handing it to agencies, hoping the templates did their job. So that's when I started Social Media Doctor. From there, I took classes, really dived in to make sure we could offer the best value, make sure that we were sticking to our core values and things like that. And I hired some coaches. And by doing that, that just kind of expedited everything from there.
Wow. That's a very powerful story, and I appreciate you sharing it. Um, I feel like that happens so much with people that they live their life because of what other people are going to think or what other people expect. I've been there. Growing up, same thing. And unfortunately, well, we say unfortunately, but on another level, fortunately, you have
Mhm.
to, I feel, get to that point of just absolute hopelessness, or it takes an extreme event to have that realization. And some people go their entire life and it doesn't happen, right? So the fact that you were able to have that experience, as awful as some aspects of it are, the the grace on the other side of it, I'm sure that you're thankful, because it led you here. And you hit on a very important point there, that if you weren't, that you had the realization of, if you weren't meant to be here, then you wouldn't be, right? And I'm
Yep.
a firm believer in everything happens exactly how it's supposed to happen. And the more that we can get in tune with letting things happen, allowing them to happen, and going with it, regardless of what we think it should be or how we think it should be, then it's funny, isn't it, how things start to continue to move forward, even when you necessarily don't think that they should, or don't feel like they're going to, or they keep going and they keep going, and you keep ending up, oh, I never expected this to happen. I never expected this to happen. And it's just an awesome story. So you came out of that. Obviously, you're in a much better place now, and you started Social Media Doctor. When did you start Social Media Doctor? What gave you the idea for that?
So I started that 2 years ago. And it was the idea that basically I kept seeing like people in business that I had gotten to know being screwed over by marketing agencies and being screwed over by people promising results, promising authenticity, and not following through. They weren't focused on the person or the brand. They were
Mhm.
focused on how much content can we get out or how much ad spend can we put on this. And so I just got really clear on like who I was first. And then from there, I was able to get clear on what this company was about. First year was rough, I'm not gonna lie. Like it was good, but the thing was is I had to get even more clear. Like the thing about entrepreneurship, which I'm sure you know, is that it's a never-ending journey. You're always learning, you're always growing, you're always going, oh my gosh, last year I can't believe I did that. Like every single like 6 months, you're like, I'm not the same person.
Right. No,
And
100%. Always
like
evolving.
it's a consistent evolving. And so a big part of it, like in this journey, was getting out of a victim mentality too. Because, you go, oh, what was me?
Oh yeah.
This was my life. This is what happened. And it's easy to stay there. And so having hired the right like people to help me get out of that was crucial for me. Having the right mentors, the right people in my corner that knew my potential and didn't give up on me. That was the biggest piece for me.
That's awesome. And that's so important to have people to rely on. Even if I always go by this saying, I don't know who said it, but I'd rather have four quarters than 100 pennies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to have those four quarters, to know those people is a blessing in itself. So I want to ask you the question: how did these people just come out given the circumstance and come to your aid and help you out of it, or did you seek them out?
So that's kind of a loaded question. So at first, I was attracting the wrong people.
Okay.
I was attracting the people that were bottom victim kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wasn't attracting the people I have in my life now. I was attracting people that were in the same boat and we were victimizing together. Oh, what was me? Oh, it builds
Oh yeah,
momentum.
misery loves
And
company.
yes. And so it took me really being pushed out. Um, I had a moment where I was kicked out of a mastermind and I went to that victim mentality, right? Because I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. And I didn't in that instance. Like, I'm all about ownership. In that instance, I didn't. And so, what it made me do was it made me grow up. It made me realize that my value doesn't come from what they think. It made me find people that valued who I was, and
Mm-hmm.
it made me stick with those tribe. And by sticking with those people, even more people like that started sifting in. People that have the same integrity, the same extreme ownership mindset, the same mentality, the people that want to genuinely help other people started showing up. I am a huge believer that the mindset you have will attract that, right? Like you will
100%.
get the same mindset that you have near you. Like the people that are in your life are a projection of who you are.
Correct. This, I'll add to that. This whole life is energy, right? And the energy you put
Mhm.
out is the energy that comes back. And people talk about manifestation, these different things, but I think it's more of, like you said, when you started finding these people that were positive, that had the same values to grow and be better and improve and learn. And funny, I feel like we're like-minded in that. Somehow we found each other and here we sit, right? It just kind of,
Exactly.
it just happens, and you attract those like-minded people. And the I think the trick for me that I talk about a lot is you want to always try to be in the room with people that are further ahead than you are, and
Mhm.
learning from them constantly and using them as a resource. If you're stuck around people, and I'm not saying go cut your friends off and say, I'm better than you now or anything like that, right? But you have to know when the friendship is impacting you negatively, when it's more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Parasitic relationship,
Yes.
right? As opposed to something where there's mutual benefit. As to avoid being as transactional as possible with a relationship, I try to avoid that. But it's so powerful when you can start attracting the right people, and it just again seems to keep rolling forward, rolling forward. Now, these things we're talking about, being positive, making sure that you're being authentic, using your voice, are these experiences that we've talked about up to this point, is that what shaped I see your core values behind you for your company? Is that kind of what shaped those core values?
Yes. Those core values came to me at an event, the same event I decided to start Social Media Doctor. It was a mindset event, and it was very clear, like to me, that this brand, I want it to be in raw integrity. I want people to know that we do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. Always get back up. So, for me, the thing that has kept me going is I don't quit on me. I don't quit on me. I don't quit
Oh
on the
yeah.
mission. I don't quit on the things that God has placed in my life. And so to do that, I wanted to make sure my team knew that too. And so always get back up means if we mess up, we make it right. Respect the individual. So this one's huge for me because I did work in Walmart. I did work at all these places where people are disrespected like all the time.
Oh yeah.
And so not only do we want to respect our clients, but they have to respect my team. I will not tolerate at all if one of my team gets disrespected. I don't care what the situation is. People are more important than money to me. And
Couldn't agree
then
more.
lastly is everyone wins. So that one's kind of self-explanatory. Our clients need to be winning. We need to be compensated for it. And so those kind of just shaped who we became as social media doctor. Later on, I attached the phrase, we put the heart back in social media, because I realized
I love that.
uh, that, that really encompassed what we do. We take like brands and businesses and business owners, because we specialize in coaches and contractors, and we basically reinfuse the heartbeat back into them. And so it's been a process to get there. Like with anything, like this wasn't an overnight process. This has been a process that's been in place since 2014 when I graduated. This has been a 9-year journey to get to this
Yep,
point.
that's it. You got to eat crap for a lot of years and then to get there, right? And I actually just talked about this yesterday and with someone else. It's when you're at the bottom, when it's rock bottom and it seems like hopeless and everything is lost. That's when the majority of people quit, because you hear about such a high failure rate with so many things, especially starting a business. And
Mhm.
that's the point when you need to keep going. You got to remember this is when everybody quits, and that's why they don't make it. And you can't fail if you don't stop, right? The only way to fail is if you stop. So I really love that. And to shift gears a little bit here, you kind of caught my interest with this. So AI, huge impact on so many things. I use it daily, not so much for content or anything like that, or my brand. I kind of like to think I'm a creative person. So I kind of, and again, authenticity all day long, and that has to come from you. But it has helped me automate so many things. How has it impacted your business? Do you use it at all? Is it something you avoid completely?
We do use it. So, like I said, great tool. Is a great idea generator. Like when you're having those brain farts and you're just like, I know what I want to talk about, but I just can't think of the word. Then we generate ideas and then we take it from there and create our original content
Mm-hmm.
for our clients, right?
Sure.
The other thing that it's really good at is creating templates, right? So like
Yes.
email templates, getting information really quickly. Like there are so many different ways to utilize it. I just caution people to not rely on it. That is the piece that when you start relying on it, you are putting the fate of your business in the hands of an AI, a robot that isn't you, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you need to be able to put your own unique voice, because I can tell you right now, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people right now that are only relying on AI for their content. And what that's going to end up doing, and we've already seen it, is their engagement drops. They're not getting, or they get connected with the wrong people. Like now they have like 2,000 people from overseas, like, in their thing, but they're a brick and mortar company that, deals within 5 miles. And so you
Right.
have, it's like with anything, not just AI, any kind of tool you use, you have to know how to use it.
100%. Now, I couldn't agree more with that. And and that's where it's going to be interesting in the next, I think 5 years when it really starts evolving. Because I don't know about you, but I can already spot it online. Oh, that's definitely AI. Like they used AI for that when people kind of get sloppy with it and they just use it straight as it comes. Um,
Oh, yeah.
you're like, that's AI. There's no chance it's not, right. It's just because it has a certain style to it. And I feel like that's where people are going to separate themselves. And it's good that you are getting ahead of this game, is because so many people are just going to automate, and it's all going to look the same. And the ones that are authentic, that's what's going to stand out, right? And that's where you come in. So when it comes to the content and when you're working with a client, what do you focus on? What do you talk about with them so that they can remain authentic? Being the resident expert, what is the best way, in your opinion, to stay authentic with your content? Because it's very easy to start sounding like you're talking to or talking at people or telling them what they should do, as opposed to just giving your opinion or being yourself.
The biggest thing is I always like very first thing we do on onboarding is we ask, what is your core values and mission statement? People overlook these big time. They think, oh, it's a thing you hang on the wall or your guidelines for your employees. That's, or, whatever. But the reality is those are the core of your brand.
Hmm.
By having your mission statement, that basically gives a direction for your marketing team to go, okay, so this is what we do for people. That's what your mission statement should say is, okay, this is what we do for people. Core values are kind of like the compass pieces that keep you in the line to get to that mission. They keep you on track to get to where you need to go. So we start there, and then what we do is we basically go, okay, we go through their colors, what, the things that they like. It is based upon the business owner. It is at first,
Sure.
it's most business owners' goal is to give that away or, sell it eventually, which is great. But in the beginning and even continuing, you have to start with, okay, what is unique about the business owner? What is unique about this brand? What is different? And you hone in on those things.
Hmm. Absolutely. Very interesting because, with authenticity, it's all about, and this kind of goes back to the overuse of AI, right? A little bit is the people can feel whether they're aware of it or not, they can feel the energy of it, whether it's real or not, or whether it's authentic. And that kind, I kind of learned that with music production when you're working with somebody and they're singing, and it's something when it's a song that they've just written because it's something a subject like love, and they're made up a story. They might have the most beautiful voice in the world and it comes out great, but you don't feel it, right?
Mm-mm.
But if they're writing a song about a personal experience and they're conveying that, then it's just like, wow, you're like, wow, what an amazing song, because there's actual feeling into it. And that energy, however it works, gets transferred and you can feel it. And I feel like it's the same thing with what you're
100%.
talking about with being authentic with your brand or your, personal brand or business brand. You have to rely on sticking to what you do, and each person has their own strengths and weaknesses, right? So what this is something I want to go into is, what's the difference when you're working with someone, as if it's a personal brand or it's a business front brand? How do you keep the business front brand, how do you keep that authentic and not just like a generic, when it's not a person, when it's the business that's being marketed?
We bring the personal piece into it. So if it's a business, we're taking videos and photos of their team, we're introducing their team, we're
Okay.
putting a personal piece to it. We're talking about, not just doing like the Canva style of testimonials, like we'll do that once in a while, but we're doing actual video testimonials from their clients. That's a separator because it's real people talking about the real experience they're having with the company. We also dive into adding the business owner a little bit back in. We add what's going on in the office, what's going on this week down the road, what's going on locally. If they're a business that needs local traffic, we're making it authentic to their area, their business. If it's a coaching business, we're, bringing in like pieces from the different coaches' personal pages, and we're making those on there. We're bringing in
Very cool.
articles and things like that, and just really personal deep dive. On the personal branding side, what we usually do is we actually go back through their previous posts for 3 years because usually
Okay.
um, the when people hire us, they have been doing it on their own for a while. And so what we do is we take that, we go back through, we save all those files, and then we just alter them a little bit and basically repurpose the content,
Okay.
create new graphics, create new videos, things like that. But at the essence of the writing, that way the voice is still there. Because, like you said, it's an energy thing. If I wrote a post for someone from scratch, it's not going to sound like them. It's not going to have the same energy as them.
Right.
And so, what we're doing is extracting the energy that is already there in their posts. And we are basically taking the ones that did really good and we're altering it just a little bit so that way it's slightly different, but not enough to take that energy away.
Interesting. I love that. And yeah, because I mean, it's so powerful when it's real, and those are the brands that resonate, that people connect to. And I'm a huge believer, and it seems like you are too, of when you're trying to, not, I hate to say market because it sounds so it's got such like this evil connotation to it, marketing.
I know.
Um, or then people all of a sudden you say marketing and they think automatically you're just selling to them all the time. There's nothing you can say, right? But it's so interesting because it's the same thing. I go back to the music again because these are very similar, and it's the same thing if you're an artist building that brand. You have to tell your story, how it is, exactly how it is, and don't try to make connections for people. I think that's where people get lost. And you might, do you encounter this? People get lost because they're trying to make the connection for people instead of just telling the truth, but putting it out there. People are going to make their own connections on their own, right?
A
Good or
hundred
bad and
percent.
in between,
I
right?
100% agree. You can't market to everyone. You're gonna, if you are authentic to you, if you stay authentic to your brand, you're gonna attract the right people. You're gonna attract the right people to you. They're gonna get a piece of your energy and they're gonna be like, "Ooh, I like that," and then they're gonna start to engage, and then they're gonna opt in for something small, and then it's gonna turn into a call. Because the thing is that, like you said, it's, you can't shapeshift into whoever the industry needs. You can't be like, oh, traction's happening for these people like that. I'm going to pretend to be that person now because they're getting results. Not
Mm-hmm.
going to work.
Well, that sounds like what you went through personally that we talked about at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, right? And we talked about you
Exactly.
can't, you just have to be yourself. You can't, well, other people, it doesn't matter who are they? Who are they, right? And you just gotta it's all about attracting the right people. And something that I hit home with people that I work with on this, on building their brands up, is think people get hung up a lot on, if you look at a page and it doesn't have a million followers, you're like, oh, it's not legit, right? But think about, I go to an artist, for example, think about this. If you have 300 followers, say, right? Somebody might look at that page and be like, oh, they don't know anything. But don't let that discourage you, because those are real 300 real people that are here to listen to you, that care about what you have to say. Imagine 300 real people in a room. You would be
Yes.
psyched. Oh, you would be over the top, over the moon if you were at a speaking event and 300 people walked in the room to listen to you. You'd be like, whoa. So people get so hung up on these superficial numbers, that half the time are bots anyway on some of these bigger accounts.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
don't even get me started on that. That's a whole other can of worms. Like I'm not even gonna, I'm already started on whatever. So basically that is my biggest pet peeve is people that go based on follower counts, based on views, all that. Like, yes, those are important to make sure your growth is happening. But if I see you go from like 3 followers to 30,000 or whatever overnight, I know you bought followers. If I see ridiculous engagement and the same memes over and over again in your comments, I know you bought followers. And you just hurt yourself big time because the thing is like you were talking about, you can have a small following and sell and reach more people than any large following could because it's the right people in that group. You're attracting the right people into your group, into your page, into your following. Those people that boast about, oh, look at me, I have 150,000 followers, but then you see that they went bankrupt next week because they've been doing is basically showing off, their big car or whatever,
Right.
instead of
Their rental car.
investing it back into, yeah, exactly, or taking a picture by a car that's not theirs. It's a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But yes, yes, yes. You got me started.
Absolutely. No, no. I had a parody account for a little bit, during COVID, just for fun. Me and my wife were screwing around in lockdown and making fun of those kind of people, just like with the Ferrari in the background and being like, you could have, if you follow my 10-step program, you can have this rental car too. Um, download my free ebook, right?
Cracks me up.
It's so true, and we get so hung up on the superficial, which is where it's just like, post what you want, if, especially for personal brand, right? Post what you want to post. Don't worry about, oh, this isn't my niche, or people aren't going to like this. Who cares, right? Because half, like how many people are actually going to see it before the next content is out there, right? uh,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So how do you what do you recommend when you're talking to somebody? I don't want to, I don't want to give out your valuable information for free or anything that you would normally charge for, but I'm just kidding. But it's what do you recommend on consistency wise, because there is so much content going out? Because you always hear like, oh, we should post a million times a day or once every day. Like, what do you guys, when you're working with a client, what do you recommend in terms of consistency?
When I'm starting with someone new and they have not posted a lot, I honestly start them really low because what has happened, and I had to learn this the hard way, is you can be like, okay, I want you to make this many reels, this many things, so that way we can have content. And what happens is they do nothing because they get deer in the headlights, like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally challenge people to do one reel a week at first, like
Okay.
really, really easy.
For the
Um,
newbies.
yeah, for the newbies, for the people that are in it, to and have done it for a while, once to twice a day. And I'm saying Facebook, Insta, maybe LinkedIn, but cross post those reels to YouTube Shorts and TikTok too. I mean, if you already made the content, might as well get on all the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But don't overwhelm yourself. Like, I really encourage my clients to choose two platforms. We'll help them choose those two platforms based on their industry. But I really just focus on two, and then a tester platform is what I call it, which is basically for 6 months, we test the engagement on the content on there to see if it's good for their industry. If it's not, then we do a different testing platform 6 months later. And that just makes it not overwhelming for people, but still gets them the results. And it also is more authentic because let's be real here. Who is like on their social media 24/7? A lot of people, yes, but at the same time, you're not posting 24/7. So if you post 5, 10 posts, like people are gonna be like, how are they running their business? What are they doing? Right?
Right.
Like you need to stay authentic. And so I always encourage once to twice a day.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, the people that you see, obviously, you can get to a point where you have a team doing it for you, right?
Mhm.
And they're your document, you have somebody following you around with a camera, and then they pass it off to an editor, and they're just posting,
Yep.
posting, posting. You don't have to do anything, right? Those are the ones you see where it's like every hour on the hour. Which,
But for
go ahead.
But for most small business owners, unless you're making like hundreds of millions, that's just not doable at the time, right?
Right.
Until they get to a point that they can do that. We always start them lower and then work them up. Like I said, even the people that have been in the game for a while,
Mm-hmm.
I still will start them lower because I know that their capacity as a business owner needs to be the reason they hired us is because they don't have the time for it, right? And
Right.
so my job is to make as much as we can with the time that we have.
Right. And when you work with people, do you coach them into doing it better, or do you actually create the content for them?
I have a team that creates the content for them. So once we have done the onboarding, once we've gone through like all the things, I basically present the business owner with a strategy, or they'll be like, I don't have time for the strategy, just handle it yourself, depending on the business owner. And once we get that done, my team goes to work with this onboarding information and we create all the content, we post it.
That's awesome.
We're an unpopular weirdo outlier because we don't use a scheduler. We don't use any schedulers to post our content because going back to authenticity, um, scheduling in advance isn't the energy's not going to be there. A, B, Facebook, Instagram, all these algorithms, they want people on the platform. If you're using a third party
Yep.
scheduler, going, hey, you're not on my platform, so why should I push you? So we
100%.
actually go into our client accounts, post in real time at optimal times, and do all the back work that no one wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. There's something different about doing it and actually pressing that post button, right? And doing it yourself. There's just something different. One, they know they're watching, and it's just like the energy. again, it's all about the energy, like you said, and I can't agree, couldn't agree more. I am a big fan of that. Now, let me ask you this, because I've heard both, and I believe one way. So I'm interested to hear your take. The more we move into it, do you feel that now people trying to keep up with the TikTok style of platform, right? That's why we've got reels. That's why we've got what have you, all the other shorts was the word I was looking for. Do you think that it's moving more towards, because people want more and more authentic, because there's so much crap out there and they want that realness? You're starting to see the more unedited videos, more raw, on the spot, pull the camera out, talk, post it, boom. We don't need all this post production. Are you a believer in that, or are you a believer in it needs that professionalism?
I am kind of
Or both?
both. I'm both. I 100% encourage for those raw videos, and I get a lot of those. Like I lean mostly that way. But if someone is trying to become the authority, we also have to add in the professional ones too.
Okay.
So I do
So
a
a
mix
mix.
of both. I don't do one or the other. I'm not like, oh, I don't want to do all professional. That one I know for sure. Like you will not ever find me doing like, let's hire a videographer and like do this whole thing
Mm-hmm.
24/7 for someone.
Right.
However, like if there's an event like for my speaking clients, right? Like that's
Yes.
great reels and stuff like that that we can use to be like, hey, look at them. They're on stage, they're helping people listen to the message, right? And puts them at that authority piece. But again, we also want them to feel like they're raw, they're, authentic, that they're relatable. So then yeah, we do throw in those more raw pieces too. It's a mix depending on the client, really. It's
Mm-hmm.
really, I don't have a cookie cutter style
Sure.
for
Good. No, that's
my
great.
clients, or every single one of my clients has a different package. And the reason being is because they have a different business, different industry, different needs.
Absolutely. And like you said, that's why you guys use different, go based off different platforms. And because obviously the demographics of the platforms vary too, not just the industry that it gets used, right? You got, because I think now Facebook is mostly, senior citizens, or what is it? Not like, what is the age? Like late, like 40 and up, right? Is Facebook,
I
if I'm
gotta
not
disagree
mistaken,
with you
like.
there. I gotta disagree with you there.
Really? Like, I'm
Um,
just going off things that I've
oh,
read and
you're good.
heard, and
No,
but
that's a
do
very
tell.
common misconception. Facebook is the biggest player in the game. Facebook has the largest audience. They have their audience ranges from 25 years old to the senior citizens, like you said. While there are a lot of those older clientele on there, don't discount the younger audience on there either, because we have seen a surge in the last 2 years, especially that younger people are coming back to Facebook. You are correct that
Really?
that was the way like 5 years ago. Like people were like, oh, Snapchat, oh, TikTok, all
Hmm.
those. Absolutely. But now we're seeing that flip, and we're actually seeing on TikTok it's starting to move into an older generation too. Because
I've
people
noticed
are
that.
see like the DIY like YouTube, right? Because people are doing those like quick recipe reels, things like that. And so it's kind of shifted, but I agree, like it used to be the way it was, but we're seeing that shift back. Right now, of all the platforms combined, Facebook is the biggest. It is bigger than LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok combined.
Wow, I didn't know that. Interesting. Well, that's good to know, because you hear a lot about that as like, oh, okay, if you're appealing to the older groups, go Facebook, and then if you want people in their 30s, then you go to Instagram, and then if you want the kids, you go to TikTok, right? I do know TikTok shifting for sure. I'm a big believer in TikTok, and I
Mhm.
think been kind of on that one for a while, and it's definitely a lot more older folks starting to hop on there and kind of
Mhm.
get into it, just because it's so easy to search a video and boom, pop it up, and you got it short form, a little bit better than YouTube, which is why you have the shorts on YouTube, right? So what do you, this is another one. So on terms of new platforms, because I feel like in the next 10 years, like I feel like things are going to move away from social media a little bit, maybe. I think that I see the potential there with AI and these whatever's going to come out with it. I think we're going to see new types of platforms where it's not strictly social media. I don't know what it's
Yeah.
going to be, but I think it's going to move away from there a little bit because people are going to want to be more interactive and get that realism without being marketed to all the time. Like Instagram now is just it's just like all ads all the time. And Facebook's getting better with that, but I think that's a product of keeping up with TikTok, right? Is TikTok
Mhm.
um because TikTok's the one that is most watched videos, right? And things that people are on watching videos the most. Is that the biggest video platform?
It has shifted. So it used to be it Instagram's coming back into the game on that.
Okay.
Um, with reels and stuff. I do agree that I think social media is going to change. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have more virtual reality kind of stuff. I think that that's going to be kind of how it goes, and that's why Meta became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Meta owns Facebook and Instagram for a reason, and that's why we have threads coming out. We have all these different things, and I think what's going to happen in the future, in my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, is I think they're going to take the data and the people from these three platforms that they're building right now. They're like building, they're following all this, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
going to pour them into Meta. They're going to pour them into this virtual reality kind of space. That's what I see happening. Because, like you said, I think it's going to be more interactive. I think it's going to be more personal touch. And to do that, I think that's why they created Meta in the first place.
Right. And, I think it's starting already a little bit because I feel like the algorithms are moving away from pay to play and more of what's keeping the eyes on our platform,
Organic.
right? What are people watching and hanging around for, right? I think that's just going to be more and more what it is because you got to go where the attention is. Um,
I agree 100% on that point. Like we don't do any paid ads because of
oh,
that.
wow. Really?
We none of my clients pay me for ads, none of them.
Wow.
Um, we don't do any paid ads. We do completely organic strategy for that same reason because we're seeing the shift. Not only are they pushing more organic content, but they're paying people for it.
Mhm.
They're paying people for the views and things because it's kind of like ads because, a little bit, but instead you're being the recipient.
Right. That's very interesting. I was wondering that. I was going to ask you what your balance is between organic and paid ads. Well, there's the answer. That's awesome. I love that. Personally, I love that. You mentioned threads. What do you think about threads? How do you feel about it? For me, it just feels like the Czech soda of Twitter or X, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what's going to happen is I think threads right now, in my opinion, Twitter is where I go for any political updates, any world updates. I
Sure.
think it's great. It's great
Sports, anything.
sports, yeah, things like that. And I think Threads was created for the people that like that short form content but don't like those. There is an audience out there for that, and I think that's where Threads is going to gear towards. The genius part of Threads, I have to give Meta this, is that they've integrated Facebook, Instagram, and Threads all together. And
Yes.
so you easily get your following from Facebook and Instagram transported right over to Threads. Like all you have to hit is one button, and guess what? All your followers are in Threads. And so they made it very easy for you to grow on there. They made it
Hmm.
very easy for you to feel comfortable on there. And so that's the dangerous piece that X, I guess now, since it's X, not Twitter,
Right.
is
It's Twitter. It's
gotta
always going to
watch
be.
out for is the ease of that. And I think that's going to be a thing going forward more so. We've already seen it with platforms like Mastodon and stuff. Like they're creating parent companies like Meta that can, own multiples of them. So that way it's an easy transfer of following.
Hmm. And the thing about threads, which is a plus for me, I'm still adjusting to it. I post on there, but it's usually just the continuation of Instagram. Now, what I do like though is it seems like you already touched on this. They're making it very easy for you to grow on there. And I noticed this, and you're again, you know more about it than I do. they're not really using like a hashtag system on there. Am I wrong? Because I don't really see it at all. Like there's no, you don't, if you, nobody's putting them on their stuff on there. Why is that?
Because hashtags aren't relevant yet. They will be coming in the future. They announced that a while ago.
Okay.
But right now, that's not the thing. The thing that they're going based off of is there's no real algorithm in Threads right now. Like there's no AI or third party determining what you see right now. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, you're seen based on your engagement. You're seen based on your moves, which is why it's easier to grow right now because there's no interference.
Just like
It's
old
based.
school TikTok.
Yes, exactly. And so that's what makes it dangerous because of the fact that you can grow very easy right now. Will that change? Absolutely. They already said it's going to. Same with adding hashtags, all those things. They're adding features all the time. But like if I were to, well, I do encourage anytime there's a new social media app, get on it, play with it,
Mm-hmm.
get at least some content going on there because that's the time to grow because once they decide to go like Facebook, Instagram, and all the others with, an algorithm determining your fate, it's a lot harder.
Sure. So that's a great segue into what I want to talk about next is for you, what's the next? I have because I have one I just came across. We'll get in that in a minute, but what's the next app that's up and coming that people need to get on in your opinion? What is it?
The one I'm playing with right now, which is not like really heard about, I don't know if it's going to be a big player or not. It's kind of a knockoff of TikTok and Reels. Is called Clapper of all
Oh,
things. And so I
that was mine. I swear to God, that's the one I was gonna bring up. I'm so glad you said that.
Oh
Anyway.
my gosh. Yes, so that's the one I've been posting on there. I have like 80 videos already. And I have seen the growth happen over there and I like how they have it local. They have it local so you can actually connect with people near you. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be something we see on the bigger platforms once they realize what Clapper's doing is the ability to literally just go to a feed that's only local people.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, get on Clapper. I'm so on board with Clapper. I went and looked. I was like, can I get stock in this? Like, how do I wanted to get involved. I'm such a huge believer in Clapper. I think it's going to be huge. Um, I just randomly saw a thing, actually saw maybe a TikTok ad about it. And I went over there because you
Me
have to be,
too.
is that how you found it? So you have to go to, I think you have to be like 17, right? To use it, which is another great thing. Because they're not sent, there's no censoring of anything. It's all just whatever everybody wants to say. And I really like, I've experienced, this is probably a month ago. And you're going to be like, oh, it's not that much, but I'm, posting on there. I'm getting upwards of 150 followers a week. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
That's way more than I'm getting on all the other platforms. It's a lot more slow, and this is just like it's
I
crazy. And
agree.
there's only like 2 million people or something like that actually active daily users, right? It's not very big yet, but it is
No.
what they're doing is incredible. Like you said, the localization. It's if you've got a small business, the videos you can do on there, it is awesome.
Yeah.
I was so funny. I was wondering if you were going to say it.
Yep. Clapper. That's the one I would say.
Clapper's the one. Yeah, they've got a really good thing over there, and I think that these other companies, if it starts to get bigger, which it really
Mhm.
should. I've been telling everybody like, hey, get on Clapper. My brother, for instance, he's a very interesting guy. Lives in the woods, um, outdoorsy as hell. Hates being anywhere but in the woods. He's like the deer whisperer. They come up and eat out of his hand, like all this stuff. He's crazy. He's crazy. He's got his arsenal of guns and um, I was like, dude, you need to just get on there and make videos that you like the ones that you send me because he'll send me videos of him just doing this crazy stuff in the woods or feeding deer out of his hand or cutting right up, wild. And I'm like, you should be posting this on Clapper right now and just get this huge following because the people you can already make money on there. Uh,
Yeah.
People are
I
already
was
doing
gonna
it.
say I've already made a little bit of money on there.
Yeah, that is awesome. So let me ask you this when I'm kind of shifting gears again, when you're posting for yourself, what, what kind of, do you focus on for the social media doctor? do you focus on yourself personally a little bit in that, or is it more of the whole team? How do you approach your social media for that?
So we just shifted. When you're first starting, you have to make it you, the business owner. As my team has grown, we are just now making the shift to more about the company based on their. So I'm making that divide between my personal brand and social media doctor. That divide is
Mhm.
happening right now.
Okay,
But before it was very much so, hey, look at what we do, but it was all me talking. Now my team's getting involved, so they're making reels, they're making things, and like that's a task I give them is, hey, I want a reel a week from you about this or whatever, and they'll go make a reel, and then they'll edit it or they'll send it to me, and I'll have someone edit it and we post it on there. And so my team not only feels awesome because they're like, look at, I'm being promoted on the page, and they feel validated, but it's also letting my audience know that, hey, it's not just me, I have a whole team that's here to help you. So
sure.
I think that with it depends on where you're at in your business, but my personal profile is very much so, like you said earlier, I post what I'm being called to post at the time. It's funny, a lot of my posts are my animals, or I just did a reel on cooking chicken of all things. Completely out of the box of like what you would think like I would post, but it's
Hmm.
authentic because I was like, hey, I'm making this like really yummy chicken that's like healthy. I was like, you know what, this would be a great reel. Made a reel, got great traction
Boom.
on it. Why not?
Isn't that funny? Like it goes back to like, post what you want. Like one of my most viral things on TikTok ever. And I post, 3 videos. I try to post at least 3 videos a day. And it's is I just was like, I said, eat how I make my easy fried rice video. And it's just like, it's still getting likes. This is like 6 months ago, and it's still getting people like
Mm-hmm.
comment, like, do you use this for this or that? And I'm like, this is nothing about what I ever talk about. Like, do I, and you do that. And then the initial thought is, do I just do easy food videos now? But no, I'm not going to do that. But it's just like, it's crazy. Just
Yeah,
post what you want, because
it's
you never
easy.
know. It's
It's
usually
easy
something you never
to
expect.
chase the virality, right? It's easy to go, oh, that did really good. I'm going to do all my videos that way. But then what happens is it's all the same. It's stagnant. People are like, I've seen this like in every single video. I'm going to unfollow you now. Like I see that all the time. Like I laugh when people decide to do their own thing with marketing, sometimes, and they'll be like, well, this video got traction and you're not listening to us on this. And then they come back a month later and they're like, you're right. I'm like, yeah, I was. It's okay.
And it's just like anything else. So the social media is just like anything else. If your business, um, you know, the way I learned music production was years of trial and error and sitting
Mhm.
there and pushing. But what does this do? What does that do? What does this word mean? I got to look it up, because you got to remember, I'm a little bit older than you. This was before YouTube. This was before. This was like, if I had started, I kick myself, which is why I'm all over Clapper right now. I kick myself because back 10, like 13 years ago, 14 years ago, if I would have started and just started like posting YouTube videos, oh man, it would have been so much. It would have been so crazy. Um,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
kicked myself. I'm like, why didn't I see this? But it was literally, you couldn't look up YouTube videos. It was just like watching people do dumb stuff. And now you can literally, like, I think YouTube, Google, all that stuff, and I think it's going to cause like the college degree to be pretty obsolete and unnecessary.
Oh,
And
100%.
people are just going to be like, I want to do this, so I'm going to go learn every skill and do it. I'm not going to I'm not going to get in student loan debt and be paying it off till I'm 50. So that, I think that's going down the tubes. I think online education is the future, and I think like taking a master class is going to be the way, and people are going to get that master class on their resume. And that's what I would hire, someone that took a master class in a specialty over someone that has just a general business degree,
Yeah,
right
I
now, any
agree.
day of the week, because they're more skilled at the actual thing. And I need the skill. I don't need you to be, oh, I got an MBA in business. Oh, cool. Okay. How many businesses have you started in that time? None. Okay. Uh, right.
Exactly. I 100% agree. I mean, I don't have a college degree, and here I am, doing this thing at 27 years old. Like,
Yeah. Exactly. And that's just the future of it. So you say you have a team. So when you started this, last question I'm gonna ask you, then I want to go into a little thing I do at the end of the episodes. When you start, was it just you that started this? Did you have a partner and
Oh,
then it was just you? And how big is your team now?
well, let me rephrase that. So I've had two businesses technically.
Okay,
Um, so I started it social media doctor, I did start alone. Later on, I decided to start a empowerment company with a business
cool.
partner. That went down the drain in a month. Um, different core values, different alignment is basically what we're gonna say that was.
Okay,
Um, but yeah, for me, first year, well, first like 9 months, it was just me. And then I brought on a VA to help me. And then from there, I hired my COO, and then we hired two more people. Right now, we're a team of four, going to be five probably next week. We're hiring someone new this week.
oh, cool.
So yeah,
That's awesome. So just keeping it scaling, right? And
yeah.
just doing more and more, taking on more and more. And so, what I like to do at kind of the end of the episode is a little bit of a this or that. And I do it right
Hmm.
off the top of my head. You can go into more detail, but it's going to be this or that. And I'm just going to fire them off. All right. You ready?
Yep.
I'm not going to lie. A lot of the times at the end of the episodes, I'm really hungry. So my mind drifts to food and they end up being food. And it's not intentional. It's just where my head's at. So I'll start off here, fried or grilled.
Fried
Okay. Favorite fried food?
chicken wings. I'm a sucker.
Yes.
I just bought an air fryer because
Oh,
I'm getting healthier right now. So
what a game
that
changer.
yes. So I'm finding ways to make things healthier and stuff like that. So I got so excited with the air fryer. I just made chicken nuggets from scratch in there, and oh my gosh, so good.
Yes, fried chicken is the way to go. Day or night?
Night. I'm a night owl all the way.
Okay. So you sleep in and then work through the night, or you don't need sleep, you just grind.
So fun fact, I just had surgery a week and a half ago, where I only had 10% of my airway in my
Oh,
nose.
wow.
I was operating without 90% of my airway for my whole life. And so
Jeez.
they did the surgery, and before that I would sleep until like 10. I'd go to bed at like midnight. Like I needed lots of sleep. The last week that has shifted. Now it's like I go to bed at like midnight, but I get up at 7. So it's different. Before I would have said absolutely sleep in,
Okay.
but now
And
it's
you
different.
feel better
Oh my gosh,
doing
yes.
that, like in that on that schedule? Absolutely.
Yes.
I feel like yeah. So okay. So but nighttime, night owl. I get it. I I'm good with like 4 hours, 3 4 hours. Like I just like to go, and sleep is just like a requirement.
Hmm.
I've never been big on just like I need to sleep 12 hours. Um, okay. Cold or hot?
Cold. I love the cold.
Michigan.
That's why I'm up in Michigan.
Easy question, right? No chance. Okay. We lived in Illinois for a year growing up, and not for me. I got to be warm. I don't. I'm real thin. We don't hold heat very well at all, and it is miserable. Like I get cold in the house. Like my wife turns it down 1 degree, and I'm like in my sweatpants and a sweater, and it's 80 degrees outside.
That's my husband. My
Oh
husband
yeah.
is built that way. And like I'll have it at 62 in here and in the winter. And he's like, can we just he has a jacket on. He's like, can we turn it up a little bit? Okay, fine.
Just a little bit, please. Oh, that's funny. Okay. So horror or comedy movies?
Comedy. I
Okay.
love a good laugh.
What's your favorite comedy movie all time?
It's kind of action, but comedy. I freaking love Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
That
Oh, that was
yeah.
one of the best Marvel movies for sure. Big fan of Thor, big fan of Hulk, and the soundtrack to that movie
Oh my gosh, yes.
so good. I remember seeing it in theaters, and the I think it was Led Zeppelin comes on in like the opening scene. I was just like, what? That is so cool. Okay. Last one, black or white. And I'm not talking about racial things.
Um, I like the color black. I don't know if you can tell, but like
Okay.
I literally have like black pants with a black shirt. Um, I don't know. It's kind of like a reminder for me. It's like a protection kind of color, but it's also a reminder of like just my progress for me because it's like looking back at like those moments where life looked black and stuff like that, like how far I've come.
That's very cool. I love that. And you've come a long way, and your story is incredible. I've really enjoyed hearing it, and you know where you've come from to where you are is just amazing. I can't sing your praises enough. Um, so where can people find you? Where can they get in touch with you? Plug yourself. I think I saw you said you're working on a book now. So
Yes.
where can people find you? How can they get in touch if they want your services or if they just want to follow along with your story?
Yeah, so on any platform you can follow social media Doctor Official or Kaitlyn Young Official. Those are on there. The reason I have the official added on there is because I've had a lot of imposters. Also have a blue check mark on everything, so like
Okay.
except for TikTok, like if you need to find me, look for the check mark. But those are great places, as well as my social media doctor website, which is www.smdoctor.com.
Okay. Awesome. And guys, Kaitlyn is has so much valuable information. I've seen it on Facebook. I've been following along. And if you couldn't tell from our conversation, very knowledgeable. Please take advantage of the free knowledge she gives away while it's still free and take advantage of what she can help you with. Kaitlyn, thank you so much again for coming on. You're incredible. It's been great getting to know you, and I really hope that our relationship can continue to grow and we can stay in touch here.
Absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure being on. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Guys, 5-star reviews are much appreciated. If you can't give 5 stars, I always say it, get the hell out. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. Thank you for listening. We'll be back. Extra Reverb. Peace.